It's postseason once again. You know what that means. It's time for a pregame preview presented by Beerly Sports. I'm Trevor. That's Zach.
All right, let me help you out, Zach. I'm Trevor. That's Zach. We're 2/3 of Beerly football. We're bringing you a playoff preview just like we did last year. We're doing all the games, right?
Yeah, we're gonna be doing every single playoff game, including the Super Bowl. We did the same thing last year. We're looking to get that back started up since it's playoff time. We're going to go in depth on each game. And with that being said, we're going into our first game for.
Kick it off. 4:30 tomorrow, January 14th. We got the 7-seed Seahawks going to San Francisco to take on the 2-seed Niners. And let's get into that game.
Yeah, let's get into it. So before we get into our scores here, Trevor, why don't we break down a little bit about this game? I mean, Seahawks not quite expected to make the playoffs at the beginning of the season. They're here now.
Right. Kind of slipped in the back door. I think everyone outside of Green Bay really wanted the Lions in, and then everyone in Green Bay wanted the Packers in. So, yeah, the Seahawks team kind of flew under the radar, sneaking in last minute to the playoffs, but they got their hands full with this Niners team. They really do.
Absolutely, they have the hands full with the Niners team. The Niners, a team that started 3 starting quarterbacks this season, one of the best records in the NFL. Obviously, they ended up with the 2 seed. Again, how about that quarterback, Mr. Irrelevant?
Right. Yeah, and the thing is, I'll get into it with my points. My key points for this game, but just basically he hasn't had to do too much, That's a very talented roster, so just keep that game plan. But who do you got winning this game, Zach?
All right, so going into my my scores here, I've got San Francisco taking it down 38-17 over the Seahawks. Although the Seahawks and Geno Smith, definitely a comeback year for him. He played well. Unfortunately, the Niners are going to dominate both lines of scrimmage. That offensive line and the defensive line have played really well all year long. Despite the Seahawks outperforming what everyone thought they would this year, I don't think that they're going to be able to keep up. And then, especially on the offensive side, that Niners run game with Christian McCaffrey, and they pretty much don't need anyone else. They need Christian McCaffrey. But that offensive line has been opening up holes all year long, and they've been able to run the ball through everybody. I don't think that's going to be a different story against Seattle. And even more important, in the playoffs, you need a good defense, and this Niners defense is very good. I think that they have the Defensive Player of the Year on their roster, Nick Bosa.
Whoa, okay.
If you didn't watch last week's episode, please do.
Right, yeah, NFL regular season awards. But I just think the Niners are just going to be too much on both sides of the ball. That's why I have it being a lopsided game. I think that Seattle might score 10 points. Or I think Seattle, they'll probably score 10 points in the fourth quarter in almost garbage time. I think San Francisco is a much better team on both sides of the ball. I know I keep saying that, but this San Francisco team's a legit chance to win the championship. I think they're a legit contender. Right, they do. And so 38-17, lopsided there. Like we said, Seattle's going to have their hands full. I took the Niners as well. I went 27-9. I went a little more low scoring than you. I think it'll be pretty easy for them to get the job done. I think point number one is just to keep it simple. Like Zach, you said, they have a better offense. They have a better defense. As long as they can just play their game, time of possession, do their thing, that should be enough to win. Every Sunday, whenever they play this game. They can play this game on Wednesday. They should be able to win it. Secondly, I think Christian McCaffrey is going to be unstoppable. He can catch the ball top tier. He can run the ball pretty much top tier. And there's nobody on that Seattle defense that can really keep up with him long ways, laterally and vertically. So, or horizontally and vertically, whatever. But CMC can do it all, and I think he's going to do it all. I think he's going to be out by the fourth quarter. And lastly, I think the Niners just need to control the clock. When you have the better offense, your offense is going to be successful as long as you stick to the guns, run the ball, control the clock. And on defense, you have firepower up front. You have firepower in your secondary. Geno's not going to take over this game. We haven't seen,
like a real fiery Geno Smith, really since like the first half of the season.
Yeah.
As unfortunate as that may be. But yeah, I'm taking the Niners 27-9 in our first matchup of NFL playoff action this season.
So,
but I did want to make the score a little more lopsided, just because like I really think if there was some bad blood in between these teams, or if something went bad and this was a huge game for whatever reason, I really think the Niners could win this game by 4 or 5 touchdowns if they wanted to. But it's it's the first game of the playoffs. The Seahawks aren't really a threatening offense. They're not threatening to put up a bunch of points like you said. Their points might come in all garbage time. So so I think they just kind of cruise control and just like cruise to a solid win here.
I agree with that. So we both have San Francisco taken down in lopsided fashion. And I think we both basically said the same thing. Niners have the better O-line and D-line. They're going to control the line of scrimmage, control the clock, and it's going to be really tough for Seattle to really get any kind of momentum going their way, barring a pathetic performance from Brock Purdy, which he hasn't shown that he can have a pathetic performance. And it's hard to with all the weapons he has around him.
Right. Yeah, and especially like, not to harp on the regular season or anything, but I think the Packers really could have made this game very interesting. I think even the Lions being a wild card, like, they're not a great team by any means, but they could win a game any given Sunday, especially against a team like the Niners. That's probably not a top 2, top 3 team in the NFL, but they are, just as good as anybody in the NFC. And they should have a pretty easy time getting to the NFC Championship game, but this should be that first step in, being we're a top dog in the NFC, and this Seattle team just doesn't have it. They don't have enough.
Yeah, and I agree with you, especially on the Lions, because the Lions are a team that can put points up. Now, granted, they can't stop anybody, but they can put points up, and I think San Francisco, the real danger for them is getting in a track meet, where it's scoring left and right. And
we haven't really seen Brock Purdy have to like come from behind
exactly
face a huge adversity like that. He's done his job.
Yeah,
putting the ball into the playmakers' hands, into the all-pros' hands. You got Debo, you got George Kittle, you got a great route runner, Brandon Ayuk, and then Christian McCaffrey, who's been, maybe the best running back in the NFL this year. But, he doesn't need to do too much, and like we're saying the same thing. But I think this game should go to plan. I'd be very surprised to see the Seahawks take this one.
I completely agree. And with that is the pregame preview for San Francisco, Seattle. We got some more interesting games coming up in our next episode, but be sure to tune in to our weekly podcast, Beerly Football Podcast. Trevor wants to call it the Beerly Football Experience, but
no, the show,
the Beerly Football Show.
Yeah.
Okay. Beerly Football Experience. Can you imagine?
And also, make sure to follow us on Twitter if you haven't already, at Beerly Football, at Beerly Sports.
And our personal Twitters are on screen right now as well, at Beerly Trev Scott and at Beerly Zach. Look at that. Make sure to give us a follow, and make sure you check us out. The next one we have coming up is the Chargers at the Jags. My Jags in the playoffs.
America's team.
America's team.